I'm pretty warm.
It's good for the color.
Yeah, I think I'm more like lax now.
Yeah, thank God I'm just getting my tan on, because I don't have to worry about doing, like, you know, just regular tans. You just have this light on you all of the time. And welcome to a very special episode of the Effin' Movie Podcast. Today, we have all your regular hosts, except we don't. One of them is in Japan, which means that we had to take two other hosts from an entirely different show. They'll plug it later. We'll finally have plugs on the end of this episode.
Yes.
Today we have Jill and Anna Beth with us. Round of applause. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, that was too much.
I don't know why we golf clapped that, but we all knew to golf clap it, so I kind of dig this energy with it so far.
Conserve energy.
Yep.
These hard times.
Yeah. Also on the show, as always, you got me, Dylan Camacho, right here at the end of the table, melting away. We got Nathan and Mason with us. And today, what are we talking about, guys?
Well, speaking of hard times, we're talking about Third Star?
Third Star.
Yeah.
Not the third Star Wars, as Google would try to think I was Googling.
Yeah. So every time I'd search for it, that's what would come up.
Yep.
Also, I totally thought this was going to be a space movie.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
you.
I saw the title.
I had no clue what I was looking for. I typed third in, and it was like the seventh option down.
Yeah, Third Son.
I had to look back at Messenger to figure out what movie I was actually needing to watch.
When I typed it out, I was like, they're definitely going to think it's a sci-fi movie. I'm not going to say what it's going to be. It's going to be bad.
Oh,
Is that why you picked it, to trick them?
No, it's not.
Not
But
even a
it was
little
just
bit?
a perk.
Okay.
It just so happens.
When I originally saw the poster, I thought it was going to be like Flicka. Like, I thought it was going to be like a horse movie
Wait, did
or
you
something.
think that Jill picked it, or what?
Yeah.
That plus the poster. That plus like the poster of him.
But
I
there
was
are
like,
no horses on the poster.
no, there aren't. But it
How
looks
has
There are.
this reputation come about? How is it spread?
I don't know.
understand.
It's
I don't know.
blame it on this guy. You guys are roommates with him, so the movie taste kind of goes on that. I do want to make a quick note before we get into the summary. There are some thick horses in this movie. Did you guys see the horse? They were absolute units, man. Their horses, their cars on horse wheels, like that. I remember thinking, like, those horses are thick with two capital C's. My God. Like,
Native Welsh horses.
yeah, they weigh 1,000 pounds plus. But we're talking today about Third Star. Normally, Nathan kind of gives a summary on this to make sure that he actually watched the movie, and or actually paid attention to the movie.
Yeah.
But today we have Annabeth and Jill here, so flip that, because I did it, Annabeth and Jill, whatever.
It's okay, we're interchangeable.
Yeah, you guys want to give a summary of the film? You guys picked it, so we didn't get any choice on this one. You guys were our price pick, and
According to
Whoa,
Nathan,
whoa.
you had full
Your
veto
price
power.
pick.
not that it was like a bad choice, but more so that you were taking what would be like his pick, because honestly I didn't pick it, Mason or Nathan didn't pick it.
We should have just picked a horrible comedy then.
Oh boy, not
You
wrong.
would have
That
been right
would've-
in line with prices.
Yeah, that would have been a price pick or a children's animated film.
Yep.
That would have been equally fine.
The only thing that we vetoed on record was Little Women.
Yeah.
And it was because we took it as a joke at first, and then they tried to make it a
And it
real
ca-
thing.
Yeah.
And we're like,
It's a good movie.
I'm sure it is. And I feel
Sure
like
it
we
is.
watched the male version of Little Women
Yeah.
in this movie.
I haven't watched Little Women, but I
I haven't
assume.
either, but I don't know.
But I assume
Same thing.
this is exactly how it plays out, but the Benedict Cumberbatch male British version of it. I don't know if even Little Women is of American or British
It's
film.
American.
Okay, so this is the
Oh.
British version with an all male cast.
Yep.
Man, why'd
Who
you have
wants
to
to
say that?
describe-
Now I'm just thinking which person corresponds to which character in Little Women. So
All right.
food for thought right
Hey.
there.
So the summary, if you haven't watched Little Women, neither have we, but Annabeth and Jill have, and we're not talking about that film. We're talking
we're
about
not.
Third
Total
Son.
waste of time now.
Yep, let's
Talking
get back on
about
track.
this.
Okay.
Ladies, describe the film. Summarize it for us. If you
Go
haven't
ahead,
watched
Jill.
it.
Third Star is about four friends, one of who is going to die soon, and they go on a camping trip. That's the movie.
Ah,
Oh, there's a little bit more
That's
than
very
that.
succinct.
Just a little bit more meat on the bones.
Yeah, here. All
Not
right, here.
much, but
I'll
a
chime
little.
out with it. All right, so one of them is Benedict Cumberbatch, so we have three humans and Benedict Cumberbatch. And Benedict Cumberbatch has cancer, and like it's kind of like a spirit journey kind of that they're going for him, I think is the original idea. They're like, hey, our friend has cancer, he's going to die, let's go do whatever he wants to do. And he's like, I want to go look at the beach, which at the whole time they're like near beaches, so that kind of is lost
Yeah,
on
he
me.
wanted to go to the
Specific beach.
It's a
specific
very-
beach.
He
Did
d-
they ever was this a childhood place that they went to as kids?
There's like
Is that-
one
had that-
flashback
yeah, it had
of
that
them going when
montage.
they were younger.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
like kids younger.
he
but
said it was
younger.
like his favorite place. And
Yeah.
Right.
So.
All right.
I do like
Maybe that's when you walked out of the room.
Yeah, you went to go get some snacks, and then you went to go get some more snacks.
Ah.
and some
When you're hungry
salad,
and you're watching
you
Benedict
gotta eat
Cumberbatch,
pasta.
you just-
I wish I had
Some
gotten a
5-course
few snacks
meal.
in this movie, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I did eat a salad, and then a bunch of pasta. And, yeah, just
He had a whole meal.
Yeah,
I think
All
I ate
the
my
meal.
time away.
that movie made me hungry.
Right.
Must have been how like just pallid and thin Benedict Cumberbatch
You're
looked.
just like, oh man, I need to put on 5 pounds for him, man. He,
Pour one out for the boys.
right. So it really kind of is just a journey, like those 4 going to a beach when they're just crossing over, essentially camping in between, and then like Benedict Cumberbatch is. Well, every time they have like a camping sit down or something like that, one of them has drama to bring up, and everybody else is like, "Our life sucks too, Benedict Cumberbatch," whatever his character name is. And then he's just like, "Yeah, but I have cancer," and they're like, "Shit, you're right, you're right." And then they let it go.
Win
And
again.
they'll do that joke for about like 8 more times, and it's not a joke, but they do all have stuff going on, and they're all kind of miserable in their own ways, but not as miserable as Benedict Cumberbatch. And then at the end, he floats off into the sea, and his friend Miles tells him that he banged his sister, so then Benedict Cumberbatch wants to die. That's the
I didn't put that together, but
yeah,
that's
right.
that's the very sped up version of this movie. Feel free to go spend the hour and a half to go watch this movie on your own.
Was it only an hour and a half?
Only
That's what I asked.
That's
Only-
It felt
Yeah.
like it was twice as long.
Woo, and we will touch on that a little bit later. But let's get into overall thoughts. Actually, that's a great segue to overall thoughts.
Yeah.
What do we think of the film?
Nathan?
Nathan, start from the left, buddy.
It's a long film, even though it's technically not long.
Yeah. Even though it's
boy.
pretty much average.
It was like sad, and then more sad, and then cringy and sad, and it's just like a downward journey to the bottom
Literally.
with very little
Yep.
uplifting moments.
Bottom
Okay,
of
that's
C.
confusing because most of it is them goofing off.
Yeah.
So you could argue it's very
But it's
happy.
I would agree it's like melancholy because it has this overtone
It's
of
got
like
this forced happiness to it, where it never seems quite natural. Like it always is like these brief little moments, but then there's also like Benedict Cumberbatch just tearing people's lives apart.
like,
Right.
out of nowhere. I thought
Yeah.
he had dementia.
He'll just get in
at
the
one
mood
point.
to like just dig into one of his friends about their life.
yeah.
And, like, dig in.
Yeah, oh,
Right.
yeah.
Like, bad news bears.
I've been
dig
holding this
in.
back since I've known you,
Yeah.
but this seems like the right time to
Now
bring
we're
this
gonna
up.
Remember that
die,
one
so I
time in
might as well
second
say.
grade that
Right.
I hated you?
Right.
It's a million times worse.
The way I kind of like imagine this movie's tone is that it feels like I'm at Disneyland and I feel like I should be happy, but I have a big thick blanket of whale blubber over me the whole time, and I'm like, I can't get rid of this whale blubber. I know it's there, and it's kind of just jarring. I should be happy. I'm at Disney World. Cool, I'm in Harry Potter Land, but this thick thing of jelly is on me, and it's just getting into my hair, and the smell is lingering. This is me and throughout this movie. That's not to say it's a bad thing, but tonally it hits this note where it's like, I'm going to be a sad drama movie, but we're going to have uplifting moments. But make no mistake, this is going to be a sad drama movie pretty much throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
And honestly, for a while, I didn't know what to take of the tone. For a little bit, I kept thinking this movie was going to do a twist on me. Like, for the first 45 minutes or so, I don't know if it's the music or the feeling, because it starts out, like, happy, but you know it's kind of a drama because obviously he's got the sickness going on, and there's implying that it's worse than it seems, and then they kind of imply that he's going to die, and then he does. But, like, there's chunks of the film early on where it's so happy-go-lucky, I'm like, all right, is somebody unexpectedly going to die now, or is there going to be like a new monster? Like,
Yeah.
there's a thing, and maybe
So-
I blame Cabin in the Woods for this. It's the same effect.
Yeah.
So I, for much of the film, kept thinking, at some point this is gonna be a sci-fi movie. At some point, like something's gonna suddenly change,
Right.
and this like terminally ill cancer patient is going to like go into space.
Get abducted.
It's going to be abducted,
Or just
there's gonna be a
transform
new
into an
adventure.
alien
Like, I
right
was
there.
hoping the whole time, it's like something's gonna happen. There's a twist coming.
Yeah.
It can't be this dry.
Yeah.
Right.
It can't be this dry.
It's
I
got
know it.
star in the title. It
I
has to be
know.
in space.
It
How could it
Space.
not be in space?
Like, what? The name doesn't make sense if there's not space.
I still don't get the name.
That is a good point.
It's from
doesn't it?
one line that you
Yeah.
barely hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the
a-
whole like third
Peter
style and the Peter Pan line.
It's the argument
yeah.
of, like, is it the second star or third star?
Benedict Cumberbatch quit trying to be cast as Peter Pan in the latest remake of Disney's Peter Pan. That hasn't been announced yet, but by the time this video releases, I guarantee there's a live action Peter Pan with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Turns out he's in a lot of
They've done
credits.
Peter Pan as a lot.
Like a couple of times, but not like I know. And Hook is going to be the
Is that a
greatest
Disney
one.
film?
I think it was.
Off of Disney Well, Disney essentially has property over
Okay, but is it a Disney film?
Don't quote me on that.
No idea.
Oh,
I feel
man,
like
can we do a Hook episode in the future?
Yes.
That'd be good.
Love Hook.
Yeah.
Mason doesn't. Rufio. Anyway, we're not here for this. We're here for Third Star, the not sci-fi flick.
All
that
right, Annabeth, I think
Nate-
it's your turn.
Yeah, Annabeth, take
Okay.
over.
I've watched this movie once before. I really liked it. I watched it this time, and I was like, "Why am I watching this?" So
That's a pretty
I
drastic
don't
shift.
know why that happened, but it was too long. I think maybe you guys didn't feel the same way. When I first watched it, I was just like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" And this time, because I knew what was gonna
Yeah.
happen, it felt extra long.
Yeah.
And also, when I watch movies that I've already seen with people who haven't already seen them, I hate them.
Cool.
Is
The
that an
movies,
ongoing
not the
thing?
people.
Okay.
But after thinking about it some more, I don't actually hate it. But while I was watching it, I was like, "Whew, why did we pick this movie? It's way too long.
So
It just needed to be cut down some. It just kind of dragged
It just
on.
kept going.
But like, I liked it.
And every time
but
you thought
I
that maybe this is the point at which the space starts.
there's
just
no
didn't.
I
space.
say I thought you were gonna think it's sci-fi. I thought you would stop thinking that once the movie started.
Yeah.
no.
he's still
Did-
scored it right now.
all the way
I
to the
was
credits.
Like, it's gotta happen.
He's about
Yeah.
to watch after the credits just to make
Yeah.
sure that he doesn't get abducted.
He's like, but
At what
Darth Vader
point in
comes
the movie did you realize that it was time to let space go?
When he was in underwater.
Credits.
Probably after the tent burned.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
At that point, I was like,
That's
okay, we're really.
that's a lot of the movie.
We're just goofing
Yeah,
on it.
that's
movie.
that's
It's a
definitely
decent
2/3 into the
chunk.
movie at
It,
least.
it was basically at the point I was like, there's not enough time left in this movie to go to space.
Mhm. It wouldn't make practical sense for this movie to go to space
They
now.
only
I
got
don't think
29
I'm kidding.
minutes. I don't think they can do it.
Right.
yeah.
So when was the first time you watched this movie?
It
was in college.
It was in college. It was in like 2013.
Okay.
Okay.
I
So
would peg it at 2013.
Okay.
So
Because I already knew who Benedict Cumberbatch was, and that's
Yeah.
why I was
Yeah.
watching this movie.
yeah.
So
I do remember seeing trailers for this movie after watching it. Like I remember thinking,
really?
yeah, Benedict. Like there were some indie trailers where I try to keep up with like the indie snobby stuff from
Mhm.
time to time because there's some good indie. There's a lot of good indie films, but
Yeah.
not Raw. Watch our episode of Raw. Actually, we didn't record that
Yeah.
one. We will re-record it just to be terrible.
Please.
We will not rewatch it, but we will re-record our commentary on it. But yeah, I think indie films really kind of go under the bus, and if they get kind of like some prestige attached to it, or Oscar bait, or like an Oscar award-winning actor, or a soon-to-be nominee like Benedict Cumberbatch, it kind of floats like up, and that's where we'll kind of see like trailers kind of float in. And I was like, I remember watching a trailer for this and thinking, probably not gonna watch this movie. And then like 6 years later, I'm like, this isn't a sci-fi movie. Who knew?
Yeah, how about that? All right, Dylan.
So I kind of covered my like tone point on this movie. This is not fully thinking it's a sci-fi movie, but thinking there's going to be something else to it.
Yeah.
It does go on for a while where I'm like, okay, well, it's just 4 handsome British men having hijinks, and 3 handsome British men and Benedict Cumberbatch. I like Benedict Cumberbatch, full disclaimer, but he is an alien-looking man. So,
Okay.
and whenever he dies at the end, so we're always doing spoilers, but I feel obligated to say, well, he dies at the end. Spoiler. When he dies at the end and he's like drowning himself and just sinking to the bottom of the ocean, I just kept thinking, well, he's returning to his fish life again. Like he only got cancer because he got out of the water and he stayed on the land with the
Yeah.
humanoids. Like I think that's the secret sci-fi story.
That was the
beneath all
sci-fi
of this.
part.
Right.
So
It's
the
kinda-
second movie is going to
Right. The sequel,
pick up.
four
Fourth
star.
Star.
It's all gonna come together.
Fingers crossed it comes out.
Oh.
Now that's gonna be my movie.
I do remember thinking that this movie does do the same things a couple times in a row, though, and I probably even mentioned that point where it was just like, all right, happy moment, hanging out, let's all sit down for a little bit. I hate you, friends. And then, like, they all hate each other for a while and talk about the deeper, darker secrets of, like, why their life sucks. And then they're like, guys, we shouldn't do this. And then friendship and fun and
Yeah.
montage and jumping and nudity occasionally. And then, oh man, I'm tired after all this fun, guys. I need despair. And then it just went right back to
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch hating his friends again.
Yeah.
To be fair, I feel like that made sense.
I mean, like, yeah, it definitely makes sense
Like-
in context. Is it's like it's the last thing I'm going to say to you guys.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
Well, that and,
I've got some stuff to say. Like,
and like the weird tone, I think, kind of made sense too because
Yeah.
they are on a trip that's supposed to be fun, but their friend is
Is
dying.
dying, right.
So, like, of course, there's that awkward
Plus,
tonal dissonance
yeah,
there.
if you don't
Yeah.
have those weird spikes, like this movie is probably the ugliest movie you've ever seen.
Whew.
Like if
Yeah.
it's just like the way I think of it, this movie is without a paddle, but British and a lot less like comedy based.
See, I actually thought of a different movie that
Interesting call.
I likened it to that hurts it in my eyes, and that it's 50-50 but British and less interesting for me.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure. I could see that just as much.
not that it's a worse movie, although I will rate it as such, but because Joseph Gordon-Levitt's very charming. I think it's a total difference between like Joseph Gordon-Levitt can't cancer.
Yeah.
Like Benedict Cumberbatch, I'm like, well, that's just Benedict Cumberbatch. Like,
yeah, I don't have
he
any
could be
ties to him.
He could be miserable all the time, and I wouldn't know any better. So, I'm sure he's a fantastic guy, but for whatever reason, it just feels like I want to beat up on him on this episode. Yeah, I don't. It's good, and I think a lot of his things hit. My biggest thing I always come back to saying is it's the movie intent for it to feel this way or to look this way or something like that. And to Anna Beth's point, I think that it is like tonally, it's you feel like there's something coming, and it is because like. Surprise! He wants to commit suicide on this trip with all of his friends, which, is how I want to spend all my time with my friends after 29. So, when you get older, I get it. Like, that part I definitely chimed with.
Isn't he also in the movie supposed to be 29, too?
Yeah, it was
Just by chance.
Yeah, just by chance. Trust me. Just turned 29. I get it. There's a lot of times, and I will say that's the most realistic part to me, is like all the friends getting together, and you can tell they don't hang out like all the time, as is like you get older, you don't see all your best friends all the time. When you do get together, you're just old men. And that part, maybe it's a little too real for me. It's a little too close to home, and that's why I'm like uncomfortable with it, because I'm just like, oh, that is all of our friends, and we do just kind of tear each other up, and we do say awful, not as bad things. Definitely like just one step above that. But like, yeah, there's a lot of that. Oh God, they're just reminiscing about the old times and stuff like that. And that's me. I need to be drinking during this movie. This is too real. So maybe that's just like my guttural like feeling attachment to it. But I'm not going to go into my 29-year-old life on that. Jill, give us your thoughts on it. This was heavily more your suggested pick. So.
Apparently, I'm the only one who still kind of liked it.
Hey, it's not that we didn't like it.
Tell us
We just have
why you liked it.
Well, first, it was. Oh my God, it was so long. I thought it was over 2 hours when I was watching it. It could have been 45 minutes and been a better movie.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
It was too long.
Yeah.
But also, it was very gimmicky, which I didn't like. Like, every time something would go wrong, like, they'd have to climb down a cliff or their tent would burn down. They needed, like, one, maybe two of those, and that would have been fine.
They fell on Benedict Cumberbatch no less than like 2 or 3 times on this movie, and I was like, guys, quit falling on him.
Well, and that's where I think the without a paddle reference is pretty apt, because it follows the same kind of thing.
Exact same
And
thing.
I actually even thought about that movie while we were watching,
Really?
because especially the scene where they were all in a tent together, just like all cuddled up together, is like, this is without a paddle.
This really
and
is, yeah.
that's not high praise.
This isn't a movie I want to be comparing you to.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than those two glaring, and also the ending I didn't quite like for reasons, but I think...
And there he goes. Into the drift. Sorry, I'm just imagining Benedict Cumberbatch dying again.
that I didn't like, but I still liked how it was filmed. I liked that it was very good at eliciting the emotions, or at least for me, it elicited the emotions it wanted to. And how it was filmed, the shakiness, like if it was from his perspective, the camera would be more shaky, so you'd feel him, or if it was from their perspective, it would be more clean. I liked that. I liked how their relationship would roller coaster, where it's like actually kind of real life to me, because you'd have those moments with your friends where you're joking around and immediately like, if not hate each other, but like you will have those moments where you tear into each other and then just forget about it and go straight back to being friends. Like that made sense. Also, it's ramped up because one of them is dying of cancer.
Yeah.
So I liked all those, and I liked the slightly metaphoricalness of like some things. Like I hated him dying at the end. I thought that was dumb, even though I saw it coming, even when I hadn't seen the movie.
I think I would have been upset if he didn't die at the end.
I think, did anyone else not see it coming? Because when I first watched it, I was like,
if he didn't die at the end of this movie,
I was going to be upset.
I don't know what I would do, but it wouldn't have been good for society at all.
There's at least, after the first 20 minutes or so, at least every 10 minutes, I'm like, God, I can't wait for Benedict Cumberbatch to die in this movie. Like, just let it go, buddy. Like, let go of that hope. And
Joseph Gordon-Levitt? No.
Nah.
He's got to live.
He's got to live, buddy. JGL, all the way through. Benedict Cumberbatch, you need to go.
But, like, I hated that he killed himself. But I liked the moment where it's, like, that swimming through the roughness of life together with your friends for as long as you can. And then they finally have to drift off.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I liked that. But again, I hated the suicide aspect.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
Because this does bring a very, like, suicide's okay if it's you're
If it's
cancer
precedent,
and
I
you're
guess.
dying,
Oh, yeah.
and if you're just depressed enough, and like I haven't done my I'm a therapist thing in today's session yet, but
I was wondering if that would happen.
it's gonna sneak in just for a second. Like
All right.
I'm gonna sit there and say, all right, listen, is he like terminally ill? And like if I'm landing on like where are my beliefs on that? I'm like, personally, therapist or not, if I'm terminally ill, I want to go out on my own terms. Say if I'm gonna die anyway, let me do me. Like I've always said, if I get old and it's one of those things where I like just lose my mind to like mental disorder or disease, whatever, what have you, just like just take me out back and put me down, man. Like at that point, I'm gone. Like lights are out, close the house. Like that's my own perspective on it.
Yeah, everyone has a different.
Right,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that's right. Don't do that. Because as a therapist, I will say, now, if you're just struggling with depression and there's a chance that he could have lived, because realistically, maybe, you never know, cancer treatments work some of the time. It looked pretty grim for him at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure they said it was terminal.
drinking more.
I was gonna say he was at a point where that whole medical bag was his life. Like,
Right.
yeah.
So
Once that thing ran out, he was done.
he's at the point where I was like, you need to die, Benedict Cumberbatch. But it does have a moment where it's sitting there in the front, like for all the friends to sit there and just say, you're clearly really depressed because this is going on, and we can't blame you. It's totally within sight. But we're also not totally down for you killing yourself on this trip. So that does kind of
Puts
like,
a slight damper on the rest of us fellas.
right, totally. And then we got to explain to cops and your family. That doesn't look good for us.
That was
We're never
my
gonna-
problem too. I was
Yeah.
like, how are you going to explain that he
Yeah.
drowned at his favorite place when all three of us were around? Like it would almost.
Miles is trying to get his sister's kids
Yeah.
kids or whatever. They're not going to want him to babysit. They can't even babysit like Benedict Cumberbatch. Like those
Yeah.
kids are not going to
His
survive.
death, I'm sure, really throws a wrench into the whole rest of their lives.
For sure.
I think that's why Benedict
Bad
Cumberbatch
way.
dies with a smile. He's like, I'm gonna fuck this whole thing.
This is my final statement to them. This is my third
You're
terror
having sex
to
with my
them.
sister? I'm dead. On your watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mason, carry away.
So this movie, like I said earlier, it carries on with the without a paddle like scheme. Obviously, it's America versus Wales.
yeah.
There were some like comedy parts, like for instance when they were on the beach and that one guy comes up and he's like talking about the Star
yeah.
Wars,
Yeah.
Darth Vader's. Like
There's the sci-fi.
Yeah,
there it is.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's your only
Got
taste.
it.
It's the only taste you're gonna get. So like that part,
That
I could
could've
see
been
that
its
they were
moment.
trying to be funny. Another part was like when the campfire or the camp site caught on fire with the tent, and he was like, "Great, now we've all got to fit into the anorexic skeleton's tent."
Yeah.
And like I could see that they were going for it there, and also at the very end when they were like going out to sea, and like the guy who was looking after him his whole life went out there, but then he was struggling to swim, and then one of the other guys was like, "You damn near outlived so and so."
Yeah.
Like I actually kind of chuckled at that part, but I was like, "Gosh, this movie, it's a drama." But I don't think in any realm it can be considered a comedy, no matter how many of those little tiny British quips they put in there. From me, at least, only because I guess we just do it differently, and like maybe I don't feel that edge that they try with the
I
comedy.
don't think it was trying to be a comedy.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
You can have funny moments in dramas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was trying to be a drama that didn't completely make you just want to
Depressed,
die.
yeah.
I think it was just going for like a real life drama where it's
Yeah.
not sad all the time,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
internally.
But like there were so many good
Internally
like
it is.
there were a bunch of those parts that were supposed to be funny. Like whenever he was charging in with his like cane
Yeah.
and he was on his
And
wheelchair.
the, like outside bar fight.
Yes, like there was a ton of those areas where I would be like, okay, this is a drama, but like it's definitely got some lighter sides. But I don't think that they did those very well, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like I was just like, okay. And also, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask what was not good about them.
So, for instance, the part where like kind of like Annabeth was talking about earlier, or someone was talking about earlier, where like everything just kept going wrong. It might have been you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gimmicky.
For
aspect.
instance, yeah. So their cart was rolling off of the cliff after the guy had taken the phone from the other guy.
Yeah.
The cart proceeds to roll off the cliff. All of their belongings are gone. The dude proceeds to just chuck this phone into the ocean. These are grown-ass men that are
We'll say
making
there are
these
grown-ass men who will act
stupid
like that. I have met
decisions.
them.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm
like,
sure that's not an unusual thing to happen.
Yeah, that
Like to me,
I
that's
seems like a
realistic.
thing that would happen.
Yeah.
Listen, again, there's that
definitely.
29-year-old feeling where I'm like looking at these guys and I'm like, I get it. And I got like the one friend in mind.
yeah.
He throws the phone off the cliff.
But like
All of that
At
action
this
is very
point,
real to me.
You have left you have left your car like miles away. You've gotten on a ferry, you've taken this weird wheelchair cart thing with all your belongings. It's now off the side of this cliff. Then you chuck the phone?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
You definitely do. I know people who will definitely
Yep.
throw things and break them in anger.
Just
I've seen it.
Commit to the
Goodness. Who
once
are
you're
you guys
in.
hanging out with?
People with very short fuses.
I wouldn't take this trip.
Oh.
I guess that's what it comes down
Yeah.
to. But anyway,
Hey, you're Miles before you start banging his sister.
do I make it to the end? I don't know.
Yeah.
It cuts off after he dies.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I just think, I don't know, this movie did feel long as well.
For
But
an hour and a half, it does feel.
I don't know, I just had more problems with it than I did, like, I don't know, I had more issues than I had fun with it. But that's probably where I'm gonna, like, end on that.
Right.
I think it had a lot of interesting, weird, quirky moments that I appreciated and like called back to the kind of movies that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like the
Had
guy
roots.
on the beach
Yeah.
trying to find like with his little lightsaber and having that weird conversation and then just being like, huh, and then just snapping the lightsaber and being like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore and just wandering off.
Just
Yeah.
walking
That
off.
was good. The ferryman at his little booth there with like the
Eye
eyeliner.
makeup.
Yeah.
Like
He
that
had
was
eyeliner
good. The little boy that stole his watch and then threw it into the ocean.
I wouldn't
Oh,
push the
yeah.
boy in the ocean.
Yeah, I
Me too.
know.
I thought he was going to.
I thought
He
that's.
should have.
I thought that was the first part. I was like, is this gonna take a dark turn? Like, are they just gonna start
Yeah.
murdering people along this whole
Oh.
trip? Like, and they did.
My
Yeah.
eyes would have gotten really wide.
I know.
Like, and they would have stayed that way.
Right.
But yeah, I really like those kind of things, but there wasn't really enough of that to kind of
Yeah.
keep
Justify,
me.
yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't that kind of movie, even though it did have those moments, and I did enjoy them.
Right. As we kind of seem to be winding down on this one, I think this is a good time to segue into the how do we feel about this movie's shape? Is it thick? Is it thin? Or is it just perfectly fit?
He needs to go to the
Thick
gym.
boy.
Yeah, is it a thick boy? All right, we're gonna go around the table. If you haven't caught this segment before, I always introduce it as their first time viewers with it. So a thin movie is a movie. If you were in charge of editing it, you were like, I think I need to add more onto this. This movie needs a little bit more. It's like a thin sandwich, and you're like, this needs some like extra story points or extra like scenes or maybe like uplifting scenes, something like that. Whatever you would want to add to this movie, you want it to be longer. A thick movie, on the other hand, is one of those movies that definitely is just maybe too much is going on, or if we're up to you, you're like, I'd make this movie a little bit shorter. This movie feels like it kind of overstays its welcome, or just has some extra bloat on it. If we're looking at just right, that nice fit movie, it's properly length, it's right where it needs to be. It doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. You wouldn't cut anything. If maybe at most you would tweak something here and there, but otherwise it's a pretty good movie for what it is. Let's start just from the left and make our way around. Nathan?
This is a long movie, and it wasn't actually a long movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I even stepped away to
Make a
food.
salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have a salad.
He
and,
watched
have
Warrior
some
in that time and
pasta.
came back and watched this movie.
I watched that movie, was confused, decided to come back and continue watching the other movie.
Yeah.
It was still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, way longer than it should have been for what it was. But, I mean, if you cut it down too much, it's not really a movie anymore. So I don't know.
So that's a weird one on this one. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that too.
It's like
So
a
you got
short
an Anna Beth.
film.
I was gonna say I think it'd do better as a short film.
It
Right.
The director, before she made this, had made 2 short films, and that was it. And
Yeah.
this was her
Should've made
only
this one a short
feature.
Yeah.
Made another short
Yeah,
film.
it does feel like it could have been compressed into a short film, and
Right.
it would
I
have
think I
been
would have
really
enjoyed
good.
it more had it been a short film because it
Mhm.
had good moments in it. But yeah, it just went on for way too
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I mean, for me, I liked what was in it. There just needed to be less of it.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, sometimes they were just replaying the same thing.
Yeah,
over and
they
over
needed
again,
to
so they
just
could have cut
trim-
out some of
Yeah.
that stuff.
they could have left a lot of the same stuff in, but just trimmed some of the redundant parts,
Mhm.
trimmed some of the montagey bits a little bit, although I love a good montage.
That first
Yeah.
montage should
That
stay.
first
That's what you
montage
missed,
is great.
actually.
Yeah, you missed the best
Oh.
montage.
Is that the frisbees and all that?
Yeah.
Well, like
just the party
where
scene
he's
and all
like
that stuff.
filming on his camcorder,
Yeah.
and
Like,
it's
just the
all
start of
just
their
like
trip.
happy-go-lucky.
Oh, I gotcha. In
Yeah.
the car.
And nothing bad's gonna
so
happen
maybe
at the end
that's
of this
why it
film.
tonally felt just super depressing for me for most of the movie.
Oh, you didn't even
missed
get
I
that
the
missed
part.
that one
happy-go-lucky
little
montage.
happy moment that would have
Mhm.
like kept me floating just that little
Yep.
bit higher in the water.
Yeah, floating, unlike Benedict Cumberbatch.
I want to start like a whole like segment of our podcast where we sit down with you to watch the first 15 minutes to make sure that you don't leave and that you understand what's
Yeah.
going on, and then we just leave off.
We actually have a packet of quiz
Yeah.
questions this
Yes.
thick that we have to hand them.
And
after-
Warrior.
Does he do this every time?
It's only been
Maybe.
once or twice, possibly all the time.
Not
and he's
Mad
been,
Max.
but we've been catching on with it
The one I
recently.
was an audience member for, apparently he mixed up characters that.
Oh, yeah, he thought-
yeah.
Wait, no, that was in.
Well, that wasn't Warrior,
No.
was it?
No,
That was like
that wasn't
the
Warrior. That
Western
was
one.
Flipped
The
or
modern
no, Hell or High Water.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Hell or High Water.
Oh,
Did I mix
yeah.
up
You
characters?
thought two
Yeah, the
characters were the
brothers.
same person.
No, that was
the
on,
whole
that was on
time.
Warrior.
That was
yeah,
Warrior.
we were
Oh,
probably still beating
okay.
him on that one.
Yeah, they
Okay.
probably
Yeah.
just brought that up.
because
Okay.
two brothers came in.
Because, as with right now, it gets brought up a lot.
It will continue to get brought up.
Yeah, until you correct this.
It's a top 5
How
movie
am I
for me,
gonna
so I
correct
get personal. on that.
But
Time
by sitting
travel.
through a
Time
whole
travel.
movie.
Yeah.
Watch
Oh.
a movie.
Yeah,
All you have
just
to
watch
do.
a movie like a
Can you
normal
not? You're on a movie
person.
podcast.
All right.
And you watch a movie.
So back on track with the shape of this movie. Just like The Shape of Water. No, that's not right. The shape of this film. That's right. Sorry, Benedict Cumberbatch Drowning. I keep getting locked into that. Yeah, this. I mean, I gotta be in the echo chamber on here. This is a thick movie. It definitely is. It's an hour and 30 that feels closer to 2.5 or something. I've seen other movies just be much longer and feel totally fine.
Mhm.
I've watched Endgame like 3 times in a row. That's a 3-hour movie, and I swear it feels like an hour and a half movie every time. This hour and a half movie feels like a 3-hour movie. So it's the flip of it. So it's hard though, because I can kind of see the direction that they're going for. It's that indie film, and you can definitely tell, knowing that the first two the director had was short film into this, that there's still that short film mentality, but it's that director mindset of, okay, I normally do short films. I want this to be my debut film. What parts do I keep? And I can get the points to like why she introduced this or this or this, because it's all character. And I think that, not that I'm a director, I can't be a snob about this and critique it, but if I'm going to try to critique it, I would say, I think that's that rookie mistake of saying, okay, if I just put enough character exposition into this film, even if it's an hour and 30, it would all make sense because you'll feel connected to each person with it.
Mhm.
But, I mean, if anybody who's done short films like she has should knows, is like you can get a whole character in 5 minutes if it's done well.
Mhm.
There's only 4 of them, and there's not a whole lot of exposition other than
And you
that
didn't
everybody's
even
life kinda
know
sucks.
2 of them.
Right, 2 of them, they never really dive too deeply into it, but you know that everybody's life kind of sucks a little bit.
Mhm.
And I don't think they need to flesh it out that much further than that. So this movie tries to do more than I think it should, and because of that, I would probably cut out, like, I wouldn't say half, but I would definitely cut this movie down to probably under about 45 minutes, like right around 45 minutes.
That's what I was thinking.
Even
That's half.
yeah, okay, so it is about exactly at half. All right, I guess I would cut this movie in half and then just take out, I guess, kind of to what you were saying, Jill. It's just some of the gimmicks. It does feel like they hit the same note again and again and again.
Mhm.
Like it just felt like, okay, fun, sit down, drama, fun, sit down, drama, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat.
I just want to re-edit this movie now.
I know. We
Mm.
oh gosh, if we ever do like
That
an
would be
editing
fun.
channel where we just
Yeah.
retake all the movies and edit it to how we
just
think.
re-edit it. I think you have to reshoot it because like they get into people's drama in different parts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you, like it's the same thing. Just I don't know what you cut out specifically. But
I
just
don't
make
know.
it smaller.
But
Right.
yeah, exactly. It's like I liked the stuff that's there, but could they do it less?
Much like the naked guy, whenever they get to the beach scene, this package needs to be smaller. It's intimidating and there's too much going on. Jill, what do you think of the film?
Like everyone else, I think it should be about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But it did stuff well. Hi
I'm
Alexa.
having trouble connecting to the internet.
Yeah.
That's good.
Search section in your Alexa app.
Echo, stop. Stop, please.
Now, if you keep asking her
Yeah.
stuff,
I'm
she'll
having
just keep
trouble
saying that.
connecting
Yeah.
to the internet.
So
You
just-
don't want to do
Take a
that.
look at the help section in your Alexa
She's
app.
got a red ring around, so she's really angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good.
Yep.
Yeah, so Jill, you were saying?
Like everyone else, it's too long. Needs to be shorter. But what it did well. At least I think I enjoyed what I watched. Which I could watch less of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I
accurate.
mean, at any point, you could. It's good.
Yeah.
You can watch the first 45 minutes or the last 45 minutes, but you should not watch all of them.
Well, if you stop halfway through, too, you can just imagine
What
the
happens?
point at which they go to space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mason.
So I'm gonna go a little left field here. I think it was actually just right. But the problem is, I don't necessarily think that, you could pick apart like a few little things, because kind of like Annabeth said earlier, you had these like super high tense moments with some very low moments, and I kind of like that. So you can't take those out. You can't take the gimmicky stuff out. You can't really take the super sad, depressing parts out. Like I said earlier, if this dude didn't die at the end after all of this turmoil and yelling and just pissing contests,
Literally
pissing contests,
at times,
then I think it loses a ton of drive. I hate to say it like this, but that was probably like my favorite part, was that whole ending scene where like they got to the beach, they got to that crest. He was like, "No, this isn't the right beach."
I do like that
and then they
joke.
all laughed. And
Yeah.
like from that point on, was probably like my favorite part, and it wasn't that good.
You know how you make this movie a
But-
comedy? You cut right there. This wasn't the right beach.
Oh.
Credits.
That would be
Wow.
pretty funny.
That
That's how I edit this film. I just cut off that one part.
maybe I stand corrected. Maybe you
Whoa.
take off the last 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't need to die.
Right. Because
Yeah.
it does feel like he's dying for, I mean, not only the whole movie, but it feels like he's extra dying for at least the last 30 to 40
No,
minutes,
and,
right?
and even after that, like the credits are rolling and there's just the waves in the background, and then you just see the cart. Just like doing this little number
Oh,
in
yeah.
the back while the
Yeah.
credits are rolling,
Yeah.
and then it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know, that was
good.
dumb.
Ooh, with the Death Star slowly creeping into sight. Just for Nathan on this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was pretty fit. I just don't think it was like attacked the right way.
Yeah.
It wasn't approached super well. It had all these things that just didn't do them the right way. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, after transitioning to that, it's always our most glorious end of the part where we talk into our scores. This needs a little introduction. You guys know, scale of 1 to 10, we sit here and rate this film. The 10s and 1s vary across the board on our own personal preferences, with mine and Mason's being the closest to accurately correct.
Always.
Closest. Not perfect, but it's getting there. Nathan, give us that score, buddy.
Yeah.
I feel it. Feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
Here it comes
Hit
again.
the button. I want a button for 10 out of 10s.
We really
first.
do need one.
Oh yeah.
Confetti blows out.
The
Has
golden
anything
buzzer.
been a 10?
Yeah.
Price has given a couple stupid 10 out of 10s.
I gave one
Nathan
my
gave-
first 10
Yeah,
to
just,
V for Vendetta.
just last week for V for Vendetta. I'm not even mad about
Wait,
it.
did you pick that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, of course you
Yeah.
gave it a 10. You
Oh,
picked-
I don't give my own
Oh, okay.
movies
Yeah.
great
That is a
ratings.
true.
He's
that is
pretty
true,
humble on that.
'cause
He's-
Price gave 2 10s.
Price gave
his
2
own
10s to his
movies.
own
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Price
true.
could not just try to circ himself off anymore. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
This movie had its moments that help it, but overall, I didn't really enjoy it very much, and I definitely won't be revisiting it.
Oh, boy.
So, for me, I'll give it a 4.
Guessed it
And
right on
I know
last
that
one.
seems kind of harsh, but usually like a 5 for me is middling, so it's just below a middling film. I don't rate it as these two do.
Yeah, 5
So-
is much worse for us than for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a bad film, and it definitely had moments that I enjoyed that I thought were pretty funny, but overall it was too sad for me. And I
Wait,
like
Mr. I love sad movies.
I know.
Yeah.
You claim to like sad
It just-
movies, and then we show you sad movies, and you're
Yeah,
like,
but-
"Why is this so depressed?"
Nathan's like, I like good sad movies,
Yeah.
so don't
Yeah, there's a
yeah.
difference.
I wanted a sci-fi film out of this one, and I was
Yeah.
poorly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
part of it was
that's what
probably your
ruined it for me, is
expectations.
My expectations were up here in the stars,
Literally.
and instead
Yeah.
we were down here drowning in the water.
Under the water.
Mm.
Yeah. Under the sea level.
Under the sea.
Oh, no, no, see, oh, man.
All right, Annabeth.
Annabeth.
What are you gonna venture out here
I
and
don't
say?
know.
On the second or third rewatch, when is this for you now?
This
Second?
is only the second time I've
Second
seen it.
time.
I'm trying to factor in like how much I liked it the first time I watched it, which I really liked it.
No,
the first
you always got to
time.
go with the current one, I think, because it's wherever you land
yeah.
now, because we can look at our rose-tinted glasses on the first time. But it's been a reality. Hey, Mad Max was a hard one for us, because we all rated that
Yeah.
really highly. based on nostalgia, and we went back on it and we're like, man, it's not as good as we
Yeah,
thought.
Not me.
I didn't rate it that high.
Give that movie like an 8.5.
Mason stuck strong on it.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I always say go with what you feel in this exact moment. Oh, I know, it feels bad.
6.5.
Ooh, just throw it out there.
Which is like not terrible,
No,
but there's
yeah,
a lot of
it's-
stuff that could have been better. Maybe 7. But I'm gonna go with a 6.5 because like
So what's 6.5 look like for you on that? 'Cause
Like, give
I
us
don't know.
some
I'm trying to
examples
think
Right.
of
of a
like
6.5.
what would be a
is a 7 a movie you rewatch often? Or even a 6? A 6 a movie that you're
I
like,
feel
I would
like
rewatch
a-
this.
I feel like an 8 and above are like things that I really, really like.
Okay.
Sure.
So
I
7.
mean, like 7's like okay,
I-
6 is like okay,
Okay.
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 Because I like this movie, but I also there's so much stuff about it that could have been better.
Mhm.
This is just really biased because this is my rewatching it with a person who hasn't seen it opinion, which is always lower than if I had watched it by myself. You ruined it, Nathan.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go 6.5, although I think that's a little harsh and it might truly be a 7.
All right. Fair enough.
Okay. I'll be darned if Anna Beth didn't take my 6.5. That's where I'm landing on as well. So, and 6.5 for me on this is here's how I would describe it. Like a 7 is closer to a middle of the lane film for me, and I know that seems
okay.
high, but 7 just feels like it's an okay film. Like an okay film doesn't have to be necessarily like good. It's not like great. It's like good, has good moments, but it has probably bad moments too. Or it's just one of those films that it's just like you can tell this is a bad, like probably supposed to be a bad film, but it's actually a little better than it deserves to be. It's like that's kind of where 7s land for me. It's kind of just underneath that.
Ooh.
And here's the thing. So I'll start with the negatives because I want Jill to hear the positives because I do have positives for this film.
Mm-hmm.
So the negatives, kind of as we all said, again, the pacing, the gimmicks, that stuff, all of that, we've kind of beat that horse quite a bit. But they didn't actually beat any thick horses. Those 6 horses almost put it to a 7 because I was just like, geez, I've never seen that horse that big. But yeah, it hits this part where it's like, okay, it goes way too. I think it goes over. It stays its welcome. Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't really sell me on this one, which is strange because I actually really like Benedict Cumberbatch. The rest of the cast is pretty okay. There's some moments that like. I guess I'll just stick into the positives because there's been a lot of negatives on the rants on this. This film is shot very well. The whales part is fine. They're very British and they don't hide it. Even at the very beginning, they're talking about tea and how delicious biscuits are.
Maybe
That
I
was-
should have given it some extra points.
I
for
know.
Britishness.
It was a little on the nose, and that's kind of like my con to it. But as it went along, I did find the characters a little bit more charming and endearing after the fact. At first, they kind of did feel very light and gimmicky, like, oh, we're just the support cast to make him feel better. But kind of like I said, I had that reaction where I was like, this is me and all of my friends at 29 when we all get back together. The only thing missing was they're not getting like super hammered all of the time. Like they definitely get drunk. But it's like there wasn't a moment where, well, actually, yeah, there was a moment where they get drunk, they cry, they hit these moments. And I'm like, I've had so many moments with like when all my friends get back together and we all come into town for like Christmas or something. And that felt very genuine. And in that parts, I really actually like the film. Whenever it shines and it's not trying to remind you that Benedict Cumberbatch is dying and he's being terrible. Even a couple of uplifting scenes, like the one that sticks out to me is just like, one of the guys is over by a lake just kind of throwing little tiny rocks, and then one guy just walks over with this big one and just chucks it in. And just usually it's usually thing. And it's
yeah, full of those little things.
right. It's the simple small stuff, but it makes it realistic. And I think that the realism on this was actually spot on. There was a lot of even the dialogue and the commentary bits of it like felt very authentic to me. And I think that was like the uplifting part. If it didn't have that, this movie definitely sinks faster than Benedict Cumberbatch in this film in the last 20 minutes of it.
He didn't sing fast enough.
No, I swear he was drunk.
almost
He
needed help.
even drowned
I
for a
think
long
he helped
time.
him.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think he kept
almost
him down.
Oh, he
No,
did
no,
it
no.
like
I'm sure
Yeah.
the cops think so too.
Yeah, that's not going to look good on investigation. But yeah, it's just at 6.5. If this was a short film, I think I'd probably rate it higher because it does have some good parts to it, but the drag and the length and the gimmicky parts do hold it back on. Just as I keep watching the film.
Yeah.
Jill.
I'd probably give this one a 7 for me, which
Okay.
is different from you guys apparently. Because to me, a 5 is completely middle of the road.
Yeah,
Everything
I think
below
so
a 5.
So we have the same.
Yeah,
score.
you three are
Anything
Yeah.
below a 5
Yeah,
is
because
it's
their
more...
6.5 to me is about the same as my 4.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly.
not mine.
I don't know.
His 6.5.
Four
Yeah.
can
Pretty
have some
those
redeeming,
two.
like, a 4 for you probably has some
Oh.
redeeming qualities, where a 6.5, I'm like, this is like a movie I didn't necessarily like, I won't rewatch.
Mhm.
But I did enjoy parts of it. I'm like, and I will say
Yeah.
this is
Alright.
not a bad film. This is a movie that tends to be a good film, and it's an okay film because of it, but it's just not okay enough to be a 7.
Mhm.
So yeah, anything below 5 is more bad than good. Anything above a 5 is more good than bad.
Sure.
So it's like a solid 7 because of the realism, like you mentioned. That's what I loved about it. I loved the friendship interactions about kind of real life stuff that's happening. I thought that was done really well. So I really liked it.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So this movie.
Here it comes.
Yeah. I don't do this often. This movie gets a 5 from me, which is just
What did I say?
pretty much
I know this meter.
the bottom of the barrel. When you were talking about like sad movies, was this like a super sad movie? It kind of was. At the ending, like I wanted him to pass on because, like I said, it needed that depth. It needed that turmoil. Still wasn't even sad for me. It was still this like, it almost felt like a sad movie in disguise with like, I thought there was a lot of comedy in it. But it, like 7 Pounds to me is a very sad movie that grips you. You're going to be feeling it at the end. And this movie should qualify also as a sad movie because there's cancer involved. They've got friends going along. You know, there might be some uplifting moments. There's, you know, throwing the rock in the water, stuff like that, realism. It doesn't land anywhere near a movie that I think 7 Pounds or Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, which is not very similar at all, but there is cancer involved.
50-50.
50-50 probably hits it harder.
Yeah.
Do you think that the sadness is unearned? That they're just really leaning on the cancer and not actually doing anything to earn it truly being
I could
a thing
say
to
that.
be sad about?
Yeah, I think so. And like they didn't, I don't think they delivered it well. Like you kind of just got out. I just think that, I don't know, it didn't leave much on the table for me even at the end. When you want the main character to die at the end, like I don't really know what that presents itself to anyone else.
Do I score this higher because of this or lower because of this?
Like I felt good, but also didn't want it. I don't know.
I come back to the intent. I think that's kind of what the director wanted. Like they want you to be like, okay, you're on this journey because you want to see Benedict Cumberbatch. Like Benedict Cumberbatch wants to see Benedict Cumberbatch die in this film. So
and that's the thing. Like I don't know how many people would decline the opportunity if there was a foursome or a group of 5 with one of their friends having terminal
And
cancer.
wanting to go on some kind of fun
Yeah,
journey.
and just
I'd
want to
feel
go
Price without the cancer.
miles and miles and miles and miles. Yeah, like I don't know.
we did vote on it too.
Yeah, I think you'd be awful for saying no, but
Yeah.
you know,
in Japan.
yeah. And plus, like, I didn't like the fact that he left his family and he was doing that narrating at the beginning, talking about his sister and like, oh, she's just sad. Oh, she's just doing all this. And then he just ups and like leaves, his parents, his sister and all that stuff with the intent to die. And it was just kind of this like you were talking about earlier. Everyone has their own, option, I guess, if you have that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Take you out back, put you down, whatever it is. I don't know if you could leave your family on a trip that you're supposed to come back from with the boys and have everything go wrong and still just end it all. Like, if anything, that should have been more for him just to go back home.
Yeah.
After
Just
that.
like,
But,
you know what? This trip didn't really... This wasn't the send-off I was looking for.
exactly.
Changed my mind. This trip was a little bit more fun than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. So that's where I land on it. I don't know. Just didn't do it quite for me. But
Well, there he goes, guys. That's our show. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. We of course do our plugs. Nathan Mason, where can they catch you all at?
the same as usual. There's one video that I said it. You'll have to search for it like an Easter egg.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, there is one.
There's
where
one.
You did say one where you
One.
put your Twitter handle and all that stuff on it. I don't remember which one it is. We don't remember if he's even edited. This might even be released by the time this video comes out. But more importantly, Anna Beth, Jill, where can the fans catch you at?
We have a podcast as well.
Hey!
Surprise!
Everybody in the world has a podcast. So our podcast is called Disney Do-Overs. It's a podcast about Disney live-action remakes of animated classics. And where can they find that, Jill? I don't
That's a
even
good
know.
question.
She edits it.
Yeah, it's uploaded to YouTube and SoundCloud. SoundCloud, I think, is called Disney Duo.
Yeah.
No, Disney Do-Overs.
Disney Do-Overs. That's what I
And
said. Disney
I'm
Do-Overs
the one who
on
gets it wrong
SoundCloud.
It's also on YouTube, but it's a different channel name, and I don't remember what it is.
The channel name was
Channel name's
Hello
something
Audio.
different. Yeah, Hello Audio.
Hello Audio.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
There's one.
There's,
Well, I mean, by the time this is uploaded, I'm sure we'll have more because
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan's upload schedule is terrible.
Terrible.
But ours is not very good because we only have one right now.
Yeah, well, we're actually Nathan's twice as good at editing and uploading than you guys are right now.
That's twice as many.
Based on results.
We don't even need to acknowledge that because by the time this comes out,
No, it's more of like having filmed versus edited and upload. We've only filmed.
We need
Two.
to do our Cinderella one. I forgot that we
Yeah.
watched that movie. It's
Yeah.
been so long.
We're gonna
Okay.
film that.
Have you guys
Yeah.
done Aladdin yet?
No.
Oh,
We're
can I
doing
get-
them in order.
Oh, damn. All right, it's going to be a while before
It'll
we get
be
to
a
Aladdin.
while. Yeah.
All right, never
As
mind.
slowly as we go on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to cross over on the Aladdin episode. I love
Sure.
that. Yeah. That would-
Everyone wants to be on our Aladdin
Apparently.
episode.
Aladdin is... That's because Aladdin was pretty good. IMO.
That'll be a
IMO.
fun podcast.
Oh.
Good.
right.
Controversy. Come at me. You can always catch me here at this show. You can also catch me at Twitter at CAMACH Octopus. You don't want to pronounce that out loud. I don't even know how to do it.
Tough.
Don't say it. You're trying. It's like Voldemort. It's never going to come out right. So you can always catch us here at the F Movie Podcast, of course, and that is our show. Normally we wrap and we say, hey, here's our next movie. We don't know what our next movie is. Ever! This is the last episode. Surprise! One
Yep,
of our hosts...
one of us is gonna drown.
Yeah, one of these hosts is going to
This is
drown.
yeah,
Tune
we're-
in next week to figure out who's host it is.
Well, I mean, we're about to take Dylan back out and
Yeah.
just finish him off.
As I intended. Thank
Yep.
goodness.
Age
We did just celebrate
29,
20th
just like the
birthday,
movie.
Yep.
so-
29th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's time to go.
It's your time.
Sorry,
Well,
buddy.
there you go, guys. That's my sign off. Have a great weekend. Have a great Labor Day weekend. This is actually after Labor Day weekend, so I hope you had a great one.
Yeah.
And I don't know, go Cats.
Bye.
I love cats. Don't forget to smash that like button.
Yeah.
I like to say
Like,
Ring the bell.
subscribe,
Terrible.
comment. We always keep on rolling.
Support them on Patreon.
Yeah, not yet, but we will.